there are multiple reports circulating that Josh Taylor is set to ditch the Jack Catterall rematch altogether and instead fight Teofimo Lopez. Now, this news was put to Ben Shalom in a number of interviews over the past few days, and he's acting like he's baffled. He's acting like he thought the Jack Catterall rematch would be rescheduled. He said there's a contract in place. Now, what we know from history is that fighters who pull out of certain contests with injuries, whether they're real or fake, often divert and take a different fight instead, despite having a contract in place. A few examples of this would be David Haye. He was supposed to fight Vitaly Klitschko. He pulled out of the fight. I can't remember whether he cited an injury or whether it was something else, but he pulled out of the Vitaly Klitschko fight and instead signed to fight Nikolai Valoev. Later on in his career, he signed to fight Manuel Cha. He pulled out of that fight with a hand injury, quote unquote, and then announced that he was fighting Tyson Fury about 2 or 3 weeks later. Vladimir Klitschko did something similar. He signed to fight Derek Chisora twice, pulled out twice. The second time, I think it was just a week or two before the fight was supposed to take place with Chisora. He then, very shortly after pulling out of the Chisora fight for a second time, announces that he's fighting David Haye. And to my knowledge, nobody got sued in those situations. So it seems as though an injury can act as a convenient loophole, for lack of a better term, to get out of a contract legally. Is that the case here with Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall? Will he be fighting Teofimo Lopez next? And will there be no contractual ramifications for not going ahead with that Jack Catterall rematch? At the end of the day, to my knowledge, Josh Taylor isn't signed to Ben Shalom and Boxer. He's with Top Rank. So Ben Shalom presumably isn't going to be privy to a lot of the things that are going on with Josh Taylor. Hence, stating that he's baffled at the news that Taylor could be fighting Teofimo Lopez rather than rematching Jack Catterall. From what I've seen online, there is a lot of backlash from the fans. They think that Josh Taylor owes Jack Catterall that rematch because many people feel like Catterall was robbed on the scorecards first time around, and Taylor promised Catterall the rematch. He signed for the rematch. So to then just ditch it and go in a different direction, it has angered a lot of British boxing fans. Josh Taylor has gone down in their estimation, not just in terms of his ability as a fighter, but in terms of his integrity. That's the general sentiment that I'm seeing from boxing fans online. In any event, if he does go ahead and fight Teofimo Lopez next, how do you see that fight going? Especially given the fact that Lopez hasn't looked impressive of late. A lot of people weren't impressed by the Sandor Martin fight. He obviously lost to George Kambosos and so on. Josh Taylor is obviously a southpaw like Sandor Martin, and he has similar dimensions to Martin. He's got a better resume than Martin. He isn't a small southpaw like Vasyl Lomachenko. These are the things that we should consider. I think it's a really fascinating fight with Teofimo Lopez. I'm going to assume that would be in the United States because, again, Ben Shalom doesn't promote Josh Taylor. He seemingly wants to make the Catterall rematch. Taylor is maybe pulling a fast one, maybe even in the eyes of Ben Shalom. So I would expect Taylor Lopez to take place in the States. Taylor will almost certainly be paid an awful lot more money than he'd be getting for a Jack Catterall rematch. And it's a more prestigious fight. So I can see the appeal for Josh Taylor taking a Teofimo Lopez fight rather than a Jack Catterall rematch. The risk reward is much better fighting Lopez than it is rematching Jack Catterall. And I'm not condoning what Josh Taylor's doing here, by the way. I just understand the motive if this is indeed what he's doing and these reports do turn out to be accurate. So I'll leave it there. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about Josh Taylor apparently, reportedly, scrapping, walking away from the Jack Catterall rematch and taking on Teofimo Lopez instead. Are you sick and tired of the mainstream mindset? Does the dogmatic conformity and pathological ignorance have you tearing your hair out in frustration? Then don't be alone. Come and join our brotherhood on Patreon. We stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. You'll gain access to my weekly topical podcast where we take more deep dives than Jacques Cousteau on an endless variety of subjects. There's also videos, interviews, live Q&As, as well as a vast back catalogue of previous episodes, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen via the Patreon app or download in high-quality MP3. Connect with myself and hundreds of other members in our Element chat group. There's no contract, no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a Mickey D's McMuffin. Just head to my Patreon page via the link below this video and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. I'll see you over there.